Hello and welcome back everyone to this weekly update on the financial markets. My name is Jens and like every week I want to update you on my watch list, the main four assets, S&P 500 index for the broader stock market, US oil for energy, gold, the most important metal of all, and the king of crypto, Bitcoin against US dollar. Afterwards we will have a look at my single stock watch list. I will go through the two blue flagged stocks that have been trades that got stopped out last week, and then the red flagged ones are the ones I'm currently trading. Because two of them got stopped out, I opened two new trades. Which one these are you will see in the following minutes, and we will have a look at all my open positions. Let's get directly started with the S&P 500 index on the weekly time frame. If you want to skip any part of the video, down there at the video on YouTube, you can see the timeline and jump directly to the asset you're most interested in. S&P 500 index on the weekly time frame, you can see we are still in uptrending market. MACD crossed to the downside, but that happened in the past a couple of times, and like you can see, the market kept rising. 10-week moving average is supporting the uptrend right now, and I think until price stays above this recent swing low on the weekly, everything should be fine and speaks for continuation of the overall uptrend. On the daily time frame, you can see I was able to throw in here a daily uptrend. We have at the all-time high level and sideways consolidation, or first it was an A, B, C correction. Then we have seen higher lows followed also by higher highs. At the moment, all-time high level, still again sideways consolidating. Maybe we'll see a small dip, but unless we take out the midpoint of this cycle here, I think we should be fine. There's a stop loss placed. I'm not trading these in my account, like you can see, but that was a theoretical trade I was setting up in my last video update. And yeah, currently near the break-even point or entry level, I would take partial wins once we make our risk as profit. And yeah, that's the trading setup. Currently bullish. If we drop even one time frame lower to the 4-hour time frame, you can see the setup in more detail, but I think everything is set at the moment, looking pretty nicely, and I think a continuation is likelier than a complete reversal. Next on the list we have US oil. US oil on the weekly time frame as well. We can see in red solid a monthly downtrend line. That one got broken to the upper side, and since then we are trading in this corrective weekly move marked by this weekly orange downtrend line. Currently we are testing recent lows. Maybe this is the low of this A, B, C correction. We will see. At the moment we have a MACD cross to the upper side, but MACD indicator is flat all the time, so not really interesting right now on the weekly time frame at least. If we drop down to the daily time frame, it gets a bit more interesting. We have a daily downtrend line. That one got broken together with the MACD divergence to price. So MACD was making higher lows while price still was making lower lows. That's a divergence and speaks for bullish price action. Statistically at least, we have seen a higher low than a breakout above this daily downtrend and a continuation above the 50-day moving average. We bounced at the 200-day moving average to the downside, and I think that's a nice pullback and probably will continue to the upper side. At least that's the idea of this trade I was also setting up last week together with the S&P 500 setup. I'm not trading that by myself, but if you are, I would suggest, but make decisions by yourself, to take half of the position from the table once you make your risk as profit. And currently it's at break even, but it came pretty close to the first partial profit target. And yeah, I would keep that trade position if I would have made that by myself and expect a continuation higher, and here get the trade risk free. And if it then reverses, no problem, you just lost the fees of the trade. So short term bullish for oil, long term still bearish because we are in a dominant downtrend, but I think the short term movement could be a nice one to trade. And yeah, let's continue with gold. Gold at the weekly time frame, it looks absolutely beautiful since we left behind this resistance around the $2,000 mark per ounce. We just known one direction, and that's up. Higher highs followed by higher lows, and even if it looks like a blowout top, it still keeps rising. Amazing. MACD indicator looks great, fitting to the overall price action, no divergence. That speaks for itself. On the daily time frame, you can see we had the sideways consolidation, the breakout, continuation, intact secondary daily uptrend line here. We had the MACD divergence on the daily time frame. Price was making higher highs while MACD was making lower highs, but that was not interesting for price like it seems, because we're just moving higher no matter the MACD divergence. Yeah, I was saying to you last week that that's a possible trading setup to get long at a new all-time high and setting the stop loss below the last swing low here and the day below the daily uptrend line and the daily support zone. If you have done that, congratulations. You are in a small profit at least right now. And yeah, I would still continue to hold the trade if it would be my personal trade until I make my risk as profit. Take then half of the position from the table, take the trade risk free, and let's see how far gold can go further. Yeah, at the moment gold looks nice. It's for sure overbought, but that was the whole time. So yeah, I'm curious where gold can hit next. It's an uptrend, so you should never bet on falling prices in an uptrend. I would continue to bet long, but not at that level. If you have opened up the trade here, that's fine. But at the moment, I see no reason to enter a new position in that metal. Then our crypto king, Bitcoin. Bitcoin at the weekly time frame, we can see the red monthly uptrend line is intact. That's a possible target if we're getting in the declining phase of the 4-year cycle. We have currently higher highs followed by higher lows, so the uptrend is technically intact, but we lost a very important 50 moving average and this weekly uptrend line to the downside. That could be now a counter trend move to the upside. How far it will go, I don't know, probably 105, 107,000. I could imagine for this counter trend before we reverse again and drop lower and then finally print also the lower lows. Yeah, my main case is that the all-time high for this 4-year cycle is in before we see a huge correction. But there's an outside chance still that we will continue. On the daily time frame, you can see that the daily downtrend is broken to the downside. We have pulled out a bottom formation. The 50 moving daily average was also broken to the upside with this downtrend break to the upside. We printed higher highs followed by higher lows. I also was setting up last week a fictional trade. I'm not invested by myself about my interactive brokers. Stop loss was placed below the pullback out of this breakout, and the entry was placed above this pullback. That one got triggered, and at the moment a little bit in a paper loss position. I would also take here 50% off the table once we make our risk as profit and take with that the trade risk free and see how far Bitcoin can continue to the upper side. a possible scenario would be maybe to test this daily resistance zone and then roll over here and decline from there lower. Like I already said, a possible target for buying again cheap would be the $60,000 level. It's not so far the decline like in prior cycles, but also the rising part wasn't that huge like in prior cycles, so maybe we get less and less volatile with Bitcoin, so the down phase should be also less volatile. On the 4-hour time frame, there's not really much more to say. I can delete that line out, it's not relevant anymore. Except that we changed from a downtrend to a short-term uptrend, so trades are possible. But yeah, I wouldn't speculate on new all-time highs in my own portfolio. Let's continue with the single stocks, and the first one is Reddit. Reddit on the daily time frame, I was introducing that in my last video. We have swing highs, swing lows, but also an intact uptrend. We had a broken daily downtrend. We broke out of this, went into a sideways consolidation, but still printing higher highs followed by higher lows. We've seen a final push to the upper side above the last swing high. I entered a long stop loss below the last swing low here and this daily support zone. We went nicely higher, but then turned. Red engulfing candle, 50 moving average on the daily could be a possible support, so that price turns and continues higher. But if we dip lower, I will keep my stop loss and sell 100% of the position. That would make minus 100 USD in the, or minus 100 euros. I'm trading in euros on my account. Even if this position is US dollar based, I would lose 100 euros in my account, or 1% on the total account balance. That's fine. But if we turn and we make our risk as profit, I would also sell here 50% of the position, slightly below the prior all-time high, to take the trade risk free, and then we will see how far the stock can rise. But there's a significant chance I will get stopped out here. But I will inform you like always in my next video. So if you don't want to miss that update, subscribe to the channel if not happened yet. Next, the stock where we already hit our stop loss, JP Morgan Chase. JP Morgan Chase on the daily time frame, long-term bullish weekly uptrend here, printing higher highs followed by higher lows. We have been sideways consolidating at the all-time high level, printing higher highs followed by higher lows. We've seen breakout of the range, pullback, another breakout of the pullback to the upper side with a nice green candle. I entered long there, placed my stop loss below the last swing low inside this range, and then bad news came in. Donald Trump announced that the interest rates should be capped at 10% for credit cards, and that was a hit for JP Morgan. We have seen a pretty massive red candle breaking below this daily uptrend and hitting my stop loss. Can happen. It was also placed pretty risky here. More conservative would have been lower, maybe below a more significant swing low, but that could be the learning out of this trade. We will see how it develops. Maybe it continues lower, then we would have made everything right here. But overall, I think the setup was valid and nice, and yeah, it could have worked, but statistically not all trades will work. I lost 100 euros on this trade, so 1% of my trading capital that was calculated in. I will have a close eye on JP Morgan in the upcoming days and weeks to analyze the trade and get some learnings out of that that I will share with you in following posts. Next, JBL, still intact trade. JBL the stock is still looking better on the daily than JP Morgan. We also had here a sideways consolidation at an all-time high level. Here we have seen lower lows followed by lower highs, so a downtrend. That one changed. We have seen a higher high and a higher low, and higher high and higher low, and here I went long in this stock with the stop loss placed below the last major swing low, and that's at the moment also below this daily uptrend line. At the moment in a nice profit, 40% of my risked capital, also 100 euros here. And my plan is to exit with 50% of the position once I make my risk as profit, and with that I would take the trade risk free, and the rest of the position I would like to trade then higher if the stock is on keeping rising. We will see. At the moment, happy with the trade. Next, a new stock that is a new trade, because I got some room now because I lost 2 trades, so I was able to open up another one, and one of these is Amphenol Corporation. Amphenol Corporation, also daily time frame. It's a nice rising stock with high growth rate on the financial side of the company. We have at an all-time high level a sideways consolidation, ABC correction. Then we have seen the low and a slightly higher high and higher low, and then a break out of this sideways consolidation to the upper side. I have waited for a small retest, and then I entered along here this green candle on last Tuesday, and yeah, we have the stop loss placed below the last swing low and this daily uptrend line. Also here I would like to take 50% of the position from the table once we reach our risk as profit, and take the trade with that risk free, write the rest higher, and trail the stop loss accordingly to price action. Next on the list, uranium ETF. The uranium ETF from Global X, we have seen we have been in a sideways consolidation. That one got broken to the upper side. Since then we are in an uptrend with higher highs and following by higher lows. Short term we have seen the break of the daily uptrend to the downside, but after this ABC correction we have seen a pull higher, breaking above the secondary daily downtrend line and higher low, and then finally a break of the last local high to the upper side. That was the sign for me to get along in this ETF, also with 1% of my capital at risk below the last swing major low of this ABC correction. And I'm planning to take partial wins once I make my risk as profit, taking 50% from the table, and the trade with that risk free slightly below the prior all-time high, and write the rest higher. At the moment that's going pretty well, and yeah, nothing more to say to this setup right now. This daily uptrend stays valid and broken until we see a new all-time high, then I can move it like this, and yeah, the uptrend is still valid. Next, Novo Nordisk, the pharma company, had a nice ride and a terrible ride to the downside, then like a roller coaster. The 200 moving average on the daily time frame is at the moment resistance, but we have seen a break of the weekly downtrend line in combination with a MACD divergence on the daily time frame, bottom formation, and at the moment it seems like it wants to take out the prior swing high to the upper side. I hope that will function. I'm already long in the stock. The entry was at the 4-hour time frame. There you can see this 4-hour resistance zone. That one got broken. Also at the 4-hour time frame we had the MACD divergence, which is bullish, and yeah, I entered long after a significant break above the 200 moving average on the 4-hour time frame. Long stop loss below the lowest point of the complete massive downtrend here. I'm planning also to take partial wins, 50% from the table once we make our risk as profit. We have to fight with this 200 moving average, but once we leave that behind, I think we can see a dip lower before continuation. But once we take out this swing high out in combination with the 200 moving average, I think the bottom is surely in and we will not see new lows. That's at least the trading idea and the setup, risking with that 1% of my account balance, but I'm absolutely fine with that. The numbers of the company are fine, they are well. It's pretty cheap right now, or it has been pretty cheap at the lower levels here and still is absolutely okay. Well priced or even mispriced. And I think the next huge move is to the upper side and not to the downside, but no guarantees, like always. Next, Elevance Health. Elevance Health Inc. on the daily time frame, long-term uptrending stock, but lately we have seen a huge correction marked by this weekly orange downward line, higher lower lows followed by lower highs, and yeah, that changed. Here we have seen a higher low and then a break of the weekly downtrend line in combination with the 200 moving average. And after we have seen also a higher high, I entered long because we have seen with that the change from a downtrend to an uptrend in my view. Stop loss is placed below the last swing low and I would take 50% of the table once I make my risk as profit, and with that the trade risk free. The take profit or partial take profit is placed at a major resistance zone for price, so from there on we can see probably a huge pullback for continuation. Everything is going well here. Next, a stock where it hasn't functioned is Intuitive Surgical, similar to JBL. Sorry, not JBL, I meant JP Morgan. Intuitive Surgical. Yeah, nice uptrending stock. I'm a fan of this company, and we have seen in this weekly uptrend a nice daily correction. The daily correction was broken to the upper side. 200 moving average was supporting the idea. We have seen a sideways consolidation at this daily support and resistance zone, and a nice green candle above the sideways consolidation was the sign for me to get long in this stock. Hasn't worked so well. Stop loss was placed below the last significant low or the complete sideways consolidation. And yeah, we have seen the trade getting triggered, but immediately turned to the downside and taking out my stop loss. Sadly, but can happen. And I think if this one will continue lower, then we have done everything right. But I keep a close eye on that stock for learnings. I think the setup was good at the moment. I have no problem with my decision making here. I lost 1% of my account balance on that trade. That was the calculated risk. Next, and still ongoing trade, Rolls-Royce Holdings. Rolls-Royce Holdings, daily time frame, long-term rising stock, daily uptrend also intact. We have seen at the all-time high level an ABC correction. The downtrend got broken to the upper side, and after getting above the all-time high level, I entered a long position with a stop loss below a major swing low in this ABC correction, risking 100 euros at that trade, or 1% of my account balance. MACD is about to turn. That's not so great. I hope that the daily uptrend will hold with this corrective move, and then that will continue. If it will continue, it will hit my partial take profit, where I would like to sell 50% of the account of the position from the table. So taking the trade risk free, like I explained it, with the other positions and trades as well. Another defense stock, Heiko Corporation. Heiko Corporation on the daily time frame, also long-term uptrending stock. at an all-time high level. We have seen some sideways consolidation supported by the 200 moving average. The sideways consolidation got broken to the upper side. I entered long, stop loss placed below the last swing low inside the midpoint of this range. We are consolidating at the moment sideways above this sideways range. Yeah, we have already been nearing my partial take profit target, but got not triggered. We will see if that will happen in the near future. There I would also sell 50% and take the trade risk-free with that. Now, the second last trade and stock, or technically it's not a stock, it's an indice or an ETF, the DAX, German DAX ETF. The German DAX ETF is uptrending long term, and we are in a nice weekly uptrend here. At an all-time high level, we have seen a sideways consolidation with the 200 moving average and the other major moving average are supporting the price action. We have seen a break above the sideways consolidation, taking out the prior all-time high, and at a long position, stop loss placed at the lower end of the range and below the 200 moving average, risking also here 100 euros and speculating that we at least hit 250 euros in this ETF as a price target for taking out partial wins, selling 50%, taking the trade risk free with that. But we are far away at the moment. We are in a pullback with a price gap to the downside, not so good, but we will see. We have a lot of room still in this trade so that the ETF can wiggle a little bit around for then hopefully continuing higher. The last stock is also a new trade, Comfort Systems USA. Comfort Systems USA Inc. on the daily time frame, like you can see, long-term rising stock, nice daily uptrend line, and at the all-time high level we had a sideways consolidation that was still printing higher highs and slightly higher lows. And once we have seen a nice break, a small pullback, and then the break of the pullback to the upper side out of this range, I decided to get long after getting some free capacity after losing Intuitive Surgical and JP Morgan Chase. Some risk in the portfolio got free and I invested in this stock. Sell stop or stop loss position is placed below the last major swing low and this daily uptrend, risking 1%, aiming for the first partial take profit at 1,240 USD for Comfort Systems, taking 50% from the table, taking the trade risk free, right the rest higher and trade my stop loss accordingly. That's all my trades for now. We will have a short look at my trading panel to get you a broader overview again, a conclusion about my current trades and risk. Here we are at my self-programmed and launched website for tracking my trades and my risk and my leverage, etc. We have been spoken about this on detail on my last video. You can rewatch it if you like to. These are my active trades at the moment. Here are the two closed ones, JP Morgan and the Intuitive Surgical stock. Writing down all my setups, the trades, how everything was going, and my learnings that will follow if price develops further, and I can then make some learnings, take some learnings out of the trade that I will share with you. The moment I have 995 euros at risk, depending if we look at my equity, that's a bit more than I wanted to have. 10% was the limit I was setting myself. I'm at the moment 16 euros above that. I think I'm fine with that. but no new positions until some of them either get reduced to risk with taking partial wins or losing a trade with hitting the stop loss. At the moment, total investment of 8,000 euros, and with the margin of 150%, I still have left 6,600 euros borrowing money, or buying capacity, but my risk buffer is a limitation right now. The statistics are filled now with data. At the moment, not looking that great because I only have 2 trades, and these 2 trades have both been negative. So not much to say at the moment to this statistics, but I hope that will change during the year. At least that's the plan, and otherwise wouldn't be worth putting so much time into trading. But yeah, I hope you find my stuff interesting, and let a nice comment down there below. If you have any questions, I will answer them, and I hope that you tune in again next week. Bye bye.